So let's start with San Jose State and USC. I don't think the line has moved all that much. I'm looking at DraftKings right here. 38.5 point favorite is USC over San Jose State. USC is going to win this game, right? That no one's really questioning that. But I'm just excited to see that first game for Jaden Maiava, year 3 under Lincoln Riley. I'm excited to see what that line of scrimmage looks like. And again, it's hard to tell because, San Jose State is, not exactly your Ohio State, but we haven't seen. We've been talking about USC really all spring and leading up to fall camp. It's just going to be exciting to see them take the field. So that is a 2:00 kickoff on NBC. I'm taking USC in that one. Jacksonville State, North Dakota State. That's 4:30 on the CBS Sports Network. That line has actually moved a little bit, where the Bison are a 7-point favorite from the Fargo Dome, which I've always wanted to go to the Fargo Dome. Maybe one day I'll make it happen. But they take on Jacksonville State, who was ravaged by the portal. So I'm going North Dakota State. I think that's a fair line. I think it's a fair line. Also, their first game in the Mountain West. So welcome to the FBS, North Dakota State. Sacramento State and Eastern Michigan. That game will be emanating from Eastern Michigan. I'm told this is a new rivalry in the MAC. You have a team from California traveling to Michigan for a rivalry game, but Eastern Michigan, a 9.5-point favorite. If I were a betting man, and I'm not, but if I were, and I may be giving you some advice, I may be trying to make you some money here, I would take Eastern Michigan minus the 9.5. Sacramento State is moving up from the FCS, first season in the FBS. There's going to be an acclimation period there. And plus, they have to travel, 2 time zones? Hawaii and Stanford. This was a really fun game last year. Really fun game. Won on a game-winning kick. Hawaii won this game. Hawaii has a tough quarterback by the name of Micah Alejado. He's a stud. And they take on Stanford, who does anybody know who Stanford's quarterback is? I'll pause for effect here. It's Davis Warren. Davis Warren, who used to be at Michigan not too long ago. This game will be at the Farm. And Stanford is a 4-point favorite. I like Hawaii. I not only like Hawaii minus the 4, but I may like Hawaii to win the game. Timmy Chang, really good head coach out there on not even the West Coast and the islands. I like Hawaii. I think I'm going to take Hawaii to win this game. It's a gut feeling I have. Just looking at this slate, looking at the 8-game slate, looking at the point spreads and that sort of thing, I'm really leaning Hawaii on this one. New Mexico State, Florida State. Florida State is a minus 31.5-point favorite. We don't have to spend too much time on that. One of the few games that I see Mike Norvell and Florida State winning this year. Pressure's on for Mike Norvell, and that brings me no joy to say because I wish every coach could go win 11 games, but that's just not the reality here. And been a tough last few seasons for Florida State, we can say. So the pressure's on for Mike Norvell and Florida State, and it starts with New Mexico State. How about North Carolina and TCU? Kicking off from Dublin, Ireland. Year 2 of Bill Belichick. They just named their starting quarterback not too long ago, Billy Edwards, a transfer from Wisconsin. Before that, he was at Maryland. You know who North Carolina's offensive coordinator is? Oh, he's a well-respected coach around, CFB circles, and that's Bobby Petrino, who was at Arkansas last year. Bobby Petrino is known for having really good offenses. Their defensive coordinator, Steve Belichick, Bill's son, he will not be at this game. He was placed on medical leave, I believe it was, in August, so he won't be there. But I'm really excited for this game because we get to see Another year of TCU and Sonny Dykes, but they bring in a quarterback from Harvard by the name of Jaden Craig, who set conference records, Ivy League records, all kinds of school records, was one of the most coveted quarterbacks in the portal, and now he's making his Division I FBS Power 4 Big 12 debut. And Texas Tech, I think that line has a little bit of movement in a where TCU is a 9.5-point favorite. Now, a lot of people, and myself included, have made sure to take some, try to get some dunks on Bill Belichick and the situation going on in North Carolina. It's a mess. We all know it is. I like TCU minus 9.5. I think it may not be the beatdown that it was last year. I mean, you remember that game. It was Monday night. It was Labor Day. It was a night kick in Chapel Hill. College Game Day was there. They had a whole pregame show and everything. Everyone was hyping up Bill Belichick. Everybody was hyping up North Carolina. And then TCU just splattered them. I mean, if it wasn't a football game, everybody would have been arrested in Fort Worth. It was bad. It was bad. North Carolina scored that first touchdown, but it was all TCU from that point on. TCU is going to win this game. And I like TCU minus 9.5, and I'm really excited to see Jaden Craig. That's a name that you're going to want to familiarize yourself. Again, transfer from Harvard, a really, really talented quarterback there. NC State and Virginia. This game was originally supposed to be played in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and then the college football gods intervened, and this game was moved to Charlottesville because games should be played on college campuses, or else why would you have them? Why would you have stadiums on campus? NC State and Virginia, early ACC game. And I just saw a report before we got on the air not too long ago that Virginia is going to have 16 players out of this game. This is going to be a fascinating quarterback matchup with CJ Bailey, who, like I was talking about earlier with Kevin Jennings at SMU, CJ Bailey has legit NFL arm talent. One of the more underrated quarterbacks in the entire country. And they go to Virginia. Virginia is a 4-point favorite. And I think this game is going to come down to a field goal. I really do. I think it's going to be a razor thin margin. I really like Bo Pribula, who's going to be starting at quarterback for Virginia. I don't see Tony Elliott and the Cavs able to replicate what they were able to do last year, getting 11 wins. I just don't see that being the case. And I think NC State is their most dangerous when they're not really getting talked about. There's not a lot of buzz. But I think I'm leaning NC State in this game. Give me NC State over Virginia. And that brings us to the game that I actually am most fascinated by. The game that I'm going to be locked into all these games, but this game is the one I'm looking forward to the most. And that's Memphis at UNLV. Here's the reason why. Memphis has been, they've had different coaches. They've had Mike Norvell. Now they have Charles Huff. It was Ryan Silverfield last year. They've had different coaches, but they've still been able to have success. And I'm really high on the American Conference as a whole. I believe it's probably, if you force me to pick the best group of 6 conference as it stands right now, I'm looking at the American. So can Memphis be that group of 6 representative in the college football playoff at the end of the year? They certainly, I've certainly made the case for them to be, but I can also make the case for UNLV. Dan Mullen in year 2, Jackson Arnold is their starting quarterback this year, transferred from Auburn last year. Now, he didn't have success at Auburn, and prior to Auburn, he didn't have much success at Oklahoma, but maybe he finds that success at the group of 6 level. UNLV is a 4.5-point favorite. It's a late kick, 9 p.m. on Fox. Give me UNLV to win this game. And I think that UNLV is certainly going to be in the conversation at the end of the year to potentially be that group of 6 representative in the college football playoff.